Hi, this is Mike Farmer. We're at the Unified School District 239 in Minneapolis, and this is our 239 district report. And with me is Superintendent of School, Chris Veneri. Good to see you again, Chris. We've got some good questions for you today, and hopefully we can get through this without me messing up. That's the most important thing, because I'm always the one that makes the mistakes. So I will read my notes, I promise, and we'll forge through. So here we go. Understand the Board of Education has a new vision for education. Can you tell me what that vision is?
Yeah, the state of Kansas has a, the state of Kansas's Board of Education has a new vision for Kansas, and it's called Kansas Can. And basically what it's all about is Kansas leads the world in the success of each student. And basically what they've done over the last year and a half is our Commissioner of Education and our Deputy Commissioner of Education, they traveled across the state of Kansas, and they were just asking all kinds of questions to educators, to business people, to community leaders about what their vision was for Kansas in education. And I think the biggest piece of that, which has led this, is they have looked at the data over our last 7-8 years with our state assessments. Basically from 2007 up until now, our state assessment scores have gone up. We've improved. We've taken the data, we've looked at the data, we've changed our curriculum, we've made adjustments in our classrooms across the whole state, and students have been doing better and better and better.
That's great.
But what they have found out is post-secondary education of enrollment over that same time period has not increased. Students repeating courses in college has not gotten better over that same 8-year period. It's pretty much stayed flat. And so they thought, well, even though our scores are going up beyond high school, the data's not improving. And so they needed to find something, what can we do different so we can improve that? Because that's really what matters, is what happens after high school.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear more about each of these. Can you tell us more about it and be a little bit more specific so we can maybe understand it a little bit better? Absolutely.
Basically, what they came away from on their tours was there was 3 areas that needed to be addressed.
Okay.
And one of the areas is college readiness. That is an area that they already, we do a pretty good job with for the most part. It's college readiness, career readiness, and citizenship readiness. With the college readiness, I think the big piece there is, we want kids to go on to post-secondary doing something. I mean, that's kind of what the college readiness piece is about, whether it be a 4-year college, 2-year college, or a technical college.
Right.
Each one of those 4, we're finding that extremely, it's important. You don't have to go to a K-State or a KU or a Fort Hays to get yourself a good paying job, to have a successful future. And so you can do one of those trades that help you. So as far as the college readiness piece, we need to start focusing on more than just students being prepared to go to that 4-year school.
That liberal arts education.
Absolutely.
It's not designed for absolutely everyone. And cost too. I mean, that has to be
absolutely. Cost is it's a factor. Well, part of that piece too is when we talk about the career piece, the career readiness piece, is that research will show that if you have a student that has a high interest in a certain area, it'll trump his academic ability almost every time. If they have a passion for what they're going to do, a lot of times the research will say that the kid could be successful. It's not 100%. But it definitely, it has a greater chance. And so the career piece is where the school does have to do a better job. Not just our school, but schools in general have to do a better job of helping our students at a younger age deciding what their interests are and helping them pursue it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And the other thing is we want to give the schools, not just us again, the schools need to have more career opportunities in school for these students, career courses, if I can say. We want, we got to just stop, okay, algebra, which is important, your English courses, which are important, but we need these technical courses as well.
Well, just as an example, I've worked with Jerry Smith, your FFA chapter director. There is a program that really enhances career education and hands-on, that really exemplifies what that career training can be in a high school setting. Now, I know that's not for every student, but there are kids in that program that you know as well as I do are going to pursue that career, and they already have that head start in agriculture and industry to give them that boost into whatever field that they might want to go into, because they've already had a feel for it and a touch for it too.
Absolutely, and we talked about the dollars. It saves mom and dad money when kids are going to college and they know what they want to do. They're not repeating courses. Yep. You know, like I said, they have that passion for what they want to do. And so we'd like to bring in, just in our own school, is bring in some different type of courses that are technical courses, engineering courses, courses that are just outside of the box in certain areas to give kids an opportunity. And the third component of this, like I said, is the citizenship piece.
Right.
And I think where the state's going with this is they want students to understand the importance of community involvement. They want students to understand the importance of volunteering your time. You know, how to understand the students' social well-being. You know, I think it's important that schools build a relationship, and we do a pretty good job here, but we can always improve on that home-to-school relationship. So that's part of the piece. So the state has these three components. Like I said, it's usually just state assessments. How's the school doing state assessment-wise? Data has shown there's no improvement. So what is it that we can do to help kids in all three of these areas? Pretty excited here. We're on path right now to that. We're trying to implement a lot of this for the fall next school year. And so it's pretty exciting with what the state's doing right now.
Well, and finally, what do you think about the HB 2504, more specific, the consolidation bill that it was dropped?
Okay, changing subject here. That was House Bill 2504, and basically what that was, I think it was more of a scare tactic for this year. And what that is basically your legislatures in Topeka have said that any school district that has less than 10,000 kids, okay, so basically by the county, if there's less than 10,000 kids in a county or school district, then they would take that schools, such as, for an example, Twin Valley and North Ottawa County would become one school district. Not one school, just to make that clear, but one school district.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, they dropped that. That did not get out of committee, possibly because it's an election year for them. But I think it's important that we know that this will probably be brought up again next year.
You do believe it will be?
I believe it will be. I mean,
and why?
Because this is something that they bring up every year. And the more they get with their bills, and this is what they do with their bills, they try to gain a little traction. Each year they gain a little more traction, and each year they're going to gain a little more traction.
Well, answer me this: is that good for education? You're right in the center of it. You have an opinion on this. What's going on with it, and would it track the way the educational system in Kansas should be tracking?
Well, what happens here, regardless of the education, it takes away local control.
Okay. Which I don't like, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's telling Twin Valley School District, it's telling Twin Valley that, hey, we in Topeka are making a decision that you guys no longer exist. And really it should come down to the communities making those decisions.
Because every community is different, and every population has their way of handling things. It's just like a metropolitan city, and you try and put a metropolitan city focus on a medium-sized community. It's impossible to do. It all has to work on a much closer, independent. Well, that's my opinion anyway, and I think, you know, obviously if it keeps coming up, you think it's going to pass sometime?
I think eventually it probably will, unfortunately. I think it's too bad that Topeka just needs to deal with other things and let education continue to. The state of Kansas does great in education nationally. We are ranked in the top 10 in about every subject possible, some in the top 5. And I think, you know,
that's because of the local controls to a certain extent, don't you
and our
believe?
Board of Education, the state Board of Education, and down to our local Board of Education, absolutely.
Well, it's a subject that we'll probably continue to look at in future interviews, and I thank you for taking the time to discuss it and explain it a little bit better. That's part one. We'll be back in just a moment with part two of the USD report.
At Eagle Communications, we deliver what matters to your business. Our services are fast, reliable, secure, and competitively priced, giving you more value for your hard-earned business dollar. With Eagle Communications, you're not just another number, you're part of our business family. And we deliver peace of mind with local technicians who provide dedicated system monitoring and support. Connect to something better. Call Eagle Communications, and let's talk about what matters to your business.
We're back, and welcome to the USD 239 report. And with me is Linda Willoughby, the 7th and 8th grade science teacher and science Olympiad coach, which is a major responsibility. I'm glad it's you and not me.
It's all I work with.
Well, welcome to the program. What is a science Olympiad?
Okay. Well, Science Olympiad is a national science competition, and it was designed to get students interested in science and excited about it, and trying to get as many students as they can to see about what all's out there and available for them.
That's wonderful.
And it's sponsored by government agencies like NASA and the CDC, wow. A lot of large corporations and small businesses that are in local towns too, and then leading educators too, that they help by volunteering their time, by giving money to support the program, because it's really basically pretty free for you, as far as you don't pay for entry fees and things, just a kind of a base fee to get started. And at the state competition, there's a lot of people that come from industry in to help run the events.
Well, that's wonderful. How long have you been the coach for the Olympiad?
When I first started teaching in the district, I was at the high school, and I helped for a couple years with that one. And then when I took over the science position for junior high, I started doing that, and it's been like 17 years now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So it gets a little easier, doesn't it, as the years go by, because you know how to anticipate what's going to be happening. And does it fluctuate as far as the number of kids? I know I'm going off track here, but from year to year you have more, and some years you have less, and you just work with
it all depends. You know, some years I've had as many as 24 that have gone, even though only 15 can compete, because they've been interested, and they'll do it maybe the next year, step in and do it when the others move on. And then there's some years I've had as little as 8, but they've always worked really hard, and I think, you know, they've always been able to prove themselves, and we've brought home medals and done well.
That's fantastic. What are the requirements for the Science Olympiad team?
There's 2 divisions. There's a B division, which is for the junior high, and it's 6th through 9th grade. And then there's a senior division, which is for the 9th through 12th grade. So in our building, since we're a 7-12 building, we're 7 through 9, and you can only have 5 9th graders on your team, and only 5 12th graders. So they kind of get to pick where they want to be and what they want to experience. But this year I didn't have any 9th graders. It was all 7th and 8th graders. But I was real lucky to have a couple of sophomores who had been on the team for the last 3 years, and they wanted to come back and just help the kids, and it was really fun, because the kids look up to them and learn a lot from them, and gives them a lot of experience, let them know what's going on. You have to be eligible, of course, for extracurricular activities, you know, and be willing to spend the time it takes. I don't really have any special requirements myself, as long as they just come in and get their project done and do what they need to do.
Is that after school then, or is it during? Do they have a time period during school that they can work on projects? And
we don't have a set time period.
Okay.
My planning period is last hour of the day, so if there's sometimes a few kids that during some of that time when they have a study hall, they might be able to come down a little bit, but mostly it's after school, and a lot of kids do things at home because of not being out for sports. They can't come in, and if they have morning practice, they'll come, or at the very end, like in January, basketball ends, and before they get to track, there's this time period, so we really work really hard then to get things done and get everything ready to go.
Does it start at the beginning of the year, or during the, when does the Olympic
the rules usually come out around October.
Okay.
And the regionals start in January and run through the end of February, and ours was in February. So we start about the end of October with kids coming in and selecting the events they're interested in, and we talk about what they need to do, and I'm there every night after school.
Cool.
So they can come in and work, and so different ones will come different nights depending on what they have, and they do a lot of work at at home too, because there's a lot of research involved and some building things we can't do in my room, which we're lucky Mr. Renfro, the shop teacher, has let the kids come out in the shop after school and work on a few things and kind of help them with what their plans were so that they can do that, and then they can come back in and we can test and tweak everything. And so we spent a lot of time, and they're starting in October till now, and now we have another 2 months before the state.
What kind of things do they compete in?
Well, I made a list because if I leave anybody out, I'm in big trouble.
Lists are good.
They told me.
I've got mine right here.
Right.
So
because if I didn't, I'd probably forget somebody, and they'd let me know.
Well, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, there's building events, and there's events where they do performance tasks when they get there, and then there's just study events where they go in and they try to become as much an expert as they can, and they take tests. And like the building events this year, they had to do, there was a bridge. You build a bridge, and it has to hold 33 pounds of sand, but be the lightest bridge, so you make it out of balsa wood. And
cool.
So it's pretty neat. Ours,
yeah, it would be.
Ours held like 32.7. It was real close before it broke, so they did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
And then there's a glider one where they have to, kind of like a slingshot, a glider that they've made, and see what one stays up in the air. So we learn a lot of things about flight and stuff. And there was a wind turbine one this year they had to build a wind turbine that fits certain dimensions, and then they would run it with a fan to see how much energy they could produce. And then there's one called Mission Possible. It's like a Rube Goldberg device, and that's one takes a lot of work. I had a father that helped his son kind of put, because running tools and stuff. He got his plan, and then Dad kind of helped him put together, and then we worked on the final things, doing the graphs and stuff. But you had to drop a ball in to start it, and at the end it had to ring a bell, and that goes through simple machine transfers.
I love those things.
So it was really neat, and he did a really great job. And then there was one in the car. You put an egg in the front of the car, and then you have to have a device that comes down and hits the back of the car to make it go, and has to stop before the egg hits the wall. And so you have to do a lot of planning on how to get it to stop and how to get it to go.
Now, do they work as teams or as individuals?
They do a little bit of both. You could have teams of 2 on everything, and one of the events has 3, and so they work together and they do some work individually, then share, because all of them, in order to cover the events, because there's 23 events and only 15 students participate, so it makes for about 45, 46 positions to fill. So they all have to do several. So they'll kind of work on theirs, and then they'll get together, share information, catch each other up, and then they participate, as a team. And that, but we also did air trajectory, where they had to shoot a ping pong ball at a target with Air Force, and we did bottle rockets, so we had to have an egg, had to go along for the ride, not get broken when it came down. So,
that's great fun.
And then we have the participation things. They did something that's a lot like Pictionary. To see about their vocabulary, and there's a CSI event where they have to figure out who did it by testing and identifying things and using different tests and that, and then one where they go in and do a science experiment and do the whole write-up and everything, and then there's one where they go in and write directions on how to build something, and then the other partner has to come in and build it from those directions.
So it can get quite complicated.
Yeah, so those are, those all take a lot of time, but so do the test ones, because there's tests in the area of geology, fossils, astronomy, anatomy. There's one on disease detectives. They have some environmental ones on, the environment, and then there was a new one this year on invasive species.
How interesting.
So it takes a wide range of science in, and math, and language arts too, and so
social skills.
Yeah, social. Yeah, very much.
They have to be able to communicate.
Very much 21st century skills of being cooperating, working in groups, collaboration.
Which is becoming lost in society. By the way. Where do they compete at?
They compete at regionals. There's regionals across the state. Our regional we went to was in Hayes in February, and it's at the campus there. And so it's kind of nice the kids get to experience what the campus is like, and kind of see down the road what might be out there that they'd like. And then the state competition is at the Wichita State campus.
How'd they do in regional?
They got second place.
Fantastic.
A trophy. Yeah,
how many teams?
There was 8 teams there.
Oh my gosh, that's very good then.
They told me they were going to get a trophy this year. I was really proud of them, because they said they'd do it, and I said, I know you can. Well, they did. They got and medals that we brought home. We medaled in 11 of the 22 events they had.
Oh my gosh, how wonderful.
So, so they did a really great job.
Yeah, they did. Now, how many will compete in state?
Since we got to go as a team, all 15 will again get to try again to get a medal at state. And plus there'll be one more event at state there wasn't at regionals, so we'll get be able to do that one. And if you don't go as a team, if you get first place in your event, you also get to go and compete individually at state, which is nice because some people, you know, they don't have enough to cover all the events or have a chance as a team.
So what do you enjoy about being a part of the program?
You know, I like working with the kids. They're so much fun to watch, their excitement. The noise even. I mean, after they leave my room, it's so quiet, I think, gosh, where'd they go? You know, sometimes I wonder if they're really getting anything done. But like junior high students, they always come through in the end, and their enthusiasm is just so much fun. I mean, even when they burn the popcorn, they have fun over it, and then the next person gets in trouble for the next week, you know, for burning the popcorn. But it's, you know, it's just things like that. It's just a real, you know, really fun to see their excitement.
Sounds like a blast.
It is. It's fun to see those aha moments when they figure it out, or you know, they finally got it, they get it done, it works, all those things. You know, and then at the competition to see how excited they get about getting something academic and winning that medal, and you know, when they found out they got to go to state and they won the trophy, it was just. It's
got to be a rush.
They were. I mean, you thought they'd won the state championship and something already.
All that hard work, you know, it shows that it pays off.
Yeah. It does, and you know, it's like I had a student that told me when we were there, she says, "Don't worry about Mrs. Willoughby, we've got this." And you know, they did have it, and I just can be more proud of them because they did a great job.
Well, it's interesting that you know, it really makes you believe that these kids are actually learning something too, which is kind of fun to have that combination of the teacher and the student working together and wanting to. Yeah,
I learned new things too because it's unbelievable some of the things they have to do. I mean, one of the tests that they took on fossils was a senior level college test. You know, so I mean, the instructor told them that. So you know, they really have to put forth a lot of effort. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and you have to really admire them for doing that and having fun along the way with it, and being excited to very next day to get started again.
You bet. Well, thank you, Linda. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
And that's our report for Unified School District 239 this month.